Welcome to the Parsonage Files. Join Pastor Rick and his brother Rob each week as they explore the odd, funny, and mysterious stories from the world of faith and church history. Let's get started. Here is Pastor Rick.
Welcome to the Parsonage Files. My name is Rick Birk, and I have been a United Methodist pastor now for well over 20 years. And with me today is my brother Rob. Hello, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Wonderful. Well, today you are bringing us a story that involves a church bell tower and possible time travel.
Stop rolling your eyes, Pastor Rick. I know how you feel about time travel stories.
All right, so I'm not a huge fan of time travel movies, TV shows, etc. I just always think it's lazy writing. You can't think of what else to do. We'll just go back in time.
Hopefully this story will change your mind.
All right, Rob. So let's hear about your time travel story.
It's not a time travel story. It's a time slip story.
So much more realistic.
It is. It's very Outlander-ish. All right. So the story begins in...
So somebody has been watching some British romance TV, I can tell.
Unfortunately.
All right.
Unfortunately, that has been in our household.
All right.
Moving on. So our story takes place on a clear Sunday morning in October of 1957. 3 Royal Navy cadets, William Lang, Michael Crowley, and Ray Baker, were members of the Royal Navy Cadets.
Okay, then what's that?
It's sort of a military auxiliary unit. It teaches youth military customs, focuses kind of on navigation, leadership.
So kind of like Civil Air Patrol,
JRTC
kind of stuff here in the United States.
So the boys were out, and this weekend exercise was going to culminate with a final program of doing map reading. The boys were going to be separated into small groups, given some waypoints, handed a compass, and told to go off on their own, record.
Go find these sites.
Record what you see, and come on back with the information.
Okay.
So
they were learning how to read maps
and
follow compasses and all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So these 3 guys, they were heading to a town called Kersey, small town of like maybe a couple hundred people.
Okay.
In southwest or southeast rather, England. So it's kind of picturesque, rolling hills, and then there's this town kind of in a gully, right? And it's a small town, a couple hundred people, as I said.
So it's got like hills and forest around it.
And so as they approached the town, they could see the church steeples sticking up.
Okay.
They hear the church Sunday bells ringing.
So it's kind of the center of the town then.
It is.
Okay.
And they could see smoke coming out of the chimneys, and it's a beautiful town. Anyone who's ever been there reports it's a beautiful little town. So the boys come down the hill into the town and go through this forest. And this forest is sort of like a gate that takes them to the past, Pastor Rick.
Okay.
As they come out of the gate or come out of the forest, they notice that there is no sound.
So I'm straight on this. They can hear the church bell ringing and people talking and all that good stuff. They go through this forest, and then when they come out the other side,
it's nothing. It's dead silent.
Just total silence.
Total silence. Strangely, the church bell that had been tolling as they went into the woods was no longer making any sounds. And in fact, they couldn't even see the church.
Like disappeared?
Right. They could see no tower. They could see no church. And then they started looking around. And so now it's this eerie silence. Walking through the town, the buildings look almost medieval in construction. The windows have green moss on it. As they were walking down the street.
Like there hasn't been anybody there for a while to take care of it.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. When they would look in the windows, the furniture seemed antiquated at best. It had like white plain walls in all the houses. Nothing was decorated. And as they moved further into the town, they noticed that the road wasn't paved. And then they started getting this eerie feeling that they were being watched. Just could not shake this feeling that they were being watched.
Oh, that's creepy.
It is creepy, right? I mean, it's like out of a Twilight Zone movie.
So they're now all alone in this town, and it looks run down. It looks different than what it did when they entered the woods they entered. It wasn't like it took them very long to get through the woods.
No, no. I mean,
It was just like a little patch of trees.
little patch trees came through, and
Okay.
but it was like they went through a tunnel, a time tunnel, maybe.
Weird.
It is weird. And so William Lang, kind of the boy who kind of was the leader of this little group,
Yeah.
he's looking around and he notices there's a creek kind of through the middle of town.
Okay.
And as they approach it, it's called the Big Splash because it kind of runs right through the middle of town. The road goes right through it. They don't have a bridge over it, so you kind of splash through it when.
Can they not
you walk
afford a
up.
bridge?
Yeah, I don't know, bad urban planning. And so when they approach there, he notices the sound of water isn't present, and you can see the water moving, but there should be some type of babbling.
Could they hear themselves talking?
They could hear themselves, but when they get to the Big Splash, they kind of look to the left and they see ducks, and it's the first sign of life they've seen. But ducks don't look normal. They look almost like decoys, like hunting decoys, floating in the water. It'd be like right out of the Twilight Zone, right? And so the boy's like, "Well, this is weird," but they're kind of holding their stuff together. They weren't freaking out, and so they're like, "Well, when we were coming over the hill into the town, we noticed there was this candy shop, in town. We'll head over to there, see if there's anyone around." Grab some eats, whatever.
Hey, sounds like a deal.
Yeah. So they head that direction, but when they get there, the building doesn't look the same. And
so what's different?
The windows are no longer modern windows. They look right out of the Middle Ages, like the weird paned glass.
Yeah.
And it had a bright green door, which they never noticed. Now you can maybe miss the door from distance, but the windows seems weird. But they're like, this does not look exactly what we thought it was.
And it was clearly a candy shop that they saw.
Clearly, yeah. And so the boys look in the window to see what they could see inside. And when they looked, there were instead of candy, what was hanging there were carcasses of several oxen that had been butchered. It looked like it was a butcher shop.
Yeah.
But the meat had gone rancid. It had been hanging there for a while, unattended.
And there wasn't anybody around.
No one around. So at this point, now we've got rotten meat, no one around. The first boy, he snaps into the, "Oh, golly, we got to get out of here."
See, the first thing I would be thinking of is like The Walking Dead, where the butcher shop ends up being people, right? Yeah.
So Lang would later say, when recalling the story, is all I could think of was, where are the health authorities who would allow such conditions to thrive in modern times?
You know what? That right there. First thing to think about, where is the health department?
Right. Where is the health department?
Of course, I have been into a number of restaurants where I think the same thing.
Fair. That is fair. So the boys then freaks out. Once the first kid freaks out, it's on. The three of them start hauling it out of town. Go back up the path, head out of town, go through the woods again. And when they get back up to the hill that overlooked the town, it was like they were back in normal times. Oh, Pastor Rick, I forgot the most important part.
What?
Or one of the most important parts, at least. When they went down into the town, they changed seasons.
Changed seasons?
Yes.
From what to what?
So it was fall, right?
Right.
When they went down there, the trees were bright green. So not only it had full leaves on it. So it wasn't not only did they switch time, they switched like
the whole season.
Whole seasons. And then when they came back, it was back to fall.
So the church tower that they were looking at, it's disappeared.
That's what they claimed. They could not see it. And then when they came back out of town, there was the tower again. They could hear the bells. They could hear the birds.
Was the candy shop back?
Candy shop is back. Everything was the way it should be.
All right, that's weird.
And so they kind of shook off the weird feelings they had and then headed on back. And so when they get back to the camp, they turn in their paperwork. They obviously missed a few waypoints.
They were a little busy.
But they told their instructors what had happened. Instructors did not believe them. They more thought it was 15-year-old boys just looking for an excuse for not doing work, which, having been a 15-year-old boy, probably not an unfair assessment of 15-year-old boys.
I do have an aside.
Yeah.
And you were there. Remember back in 1992, we were in high school and we went to an event here in Columbus called AmeriFlora.
I remember AmeriFlora.
And we were given a similar assignment. Remember, we were broken into teams and you and I were on the same team with somebody else.
I remember going to AmeriFlora. I don't remember this.
And we were given a little sheet of paper and we were supposed to go see different things. And one of them was like some movie. And remember, the projector caught on fire.
Don't. I mean,
And we had
remember
to, and we had to evacuate the building. And so there's only one. And the instructor didn't believe us because they reopened the movie after we got done. And it's like, well, everybody else got to see it. And we're like, no, it caught on fire. No, it didn't.
It's starting to. Yes, it was the art history guy with like a nubbing finger.
He looked Amish, but he wasn't.
Looked Amish, but he wasn't. Yeah.
Yep.
I completely had forgotten that story.
Yep.
So it happens, what you're saying.
I'm saying it's not out of the realm of possibility that you're on a map reading exercise and all of a sudden you walk into a time warp. And
Find yourself without your work. Yeah.
I'm not saying that happens to every 15-year-old, but I'm saying some 15-year-olds might have a legitimate excuse for why they don't have their work done.
So there we go.
Yeah.
So it's mystery solved. So that was this story. After a while, the story kind of died down between the boys. They went on their way and pretty much was forgotten about for about 30 years.
Okay.
And that's where it kind of is left until a paranormal researcher by the name of Andrew MacKenzie takes up the story. MacKenzie is a paranormal researcher, author, historian. He kind of focused on stories like time slips. His big call to fame was researching the times. Oh, what's the called? The one where they are at Versailles and they think they see.
Oh, 1901?
Yeah. They think they see Marie Antoinette at Versailles. So that was one that he had investigated. So this was kind of Mackenzie's thing that he investigated.
It was his, if you will, field of expertise.
Correct. And so MacKenzie wrote a book in the early 80s. And at the end of it, in the final chapters, he had said, to anyone reading it, if you had stories of your own, write me. I'll put them in my next book. One of the people who happened to be a big fan of his happened to be William Lang. William Lang thought of this story, said, I've got one, contacted Andrew MacKenzie and said, hey, this happened to me when I'm 15. I'd like to include it in your next book if you can.
Yeah.
And so this started about 2 or 3 year process of doing the research on what happened. First thing Lang did was he reached out to the now middle-aged guys that were with him to see what they remembered. So Lang, who at the time was living in the 80s in Australia, reached out to the first boy, Michael Crawley, who also was living in Australia, and said, hey, when I have lunch, let's talk about this. And so they get together and they're talking. And Crawley's like, yeah, I kind of remember that. It was weird. Crawley didn't have as many detailed memories about it as Lang did, but Crawley agreed something weird had happened. So then the two guys are like, well, let's find out where the third guy, Ray Baker, who they really had not stayed in contact with all this time, let's see if we can track him down and see what he remembers. So they do, with the help of Andrew MacKenzie, who's doing the research on, they get a hold of Ray Baker. And so we're talking now is like 1987, 88, somewhere there. And Baker was living in London. And so Lang and Crawley and researcher MacKenzie contact him and they're like, hey, what do you remember? And Baker's like, nothing. Yeah, I remember going. I remember something, but I don't remember any of the stuff that you're talking about. I don't remember any time travel. I don't remember any of that.
Nice.
Yeah, right? And so they're like, okay. So what they end up doing is just leaving him out of the entire story. And he becomes, because his mind is a different mindset. I'll get to that as why he didn't remember it. But surmise it to say, one guy when the boys as an adult remembers it strongly. The other one kind of remembers something weird happened and will go with it. Third guy's like, I have no idea what the heck you're talking about, guys.
A different mindset, as in the truth?
No.
Oh wait, that's left out.
No. What they'd eventually come to, and now take this what you want. This. No, it's
not about money. It's about money.
Not about money. No. William Lang was from Scotland and was from a very urban setting. Michael Crawley was from Worcestershire. I'm going to have to say this. Worcestershire, whatever, however you pronounce that. But the point being, not near this town either. Ray Baker was from London and had visited the area and was kind of familiar with the area. So
so that's how he knew it was a candy shop and such, because he'd been there before.
or was familiar with the
or at least
area.
familiar with the area.
And their thought was that he was, he was more familiar with medieval looking buildings because he was from an older part of London area and had seen this. And so that he wasn't as taken as the two boys who were from more modern towns. I'm just telling you what they say. There's other theories too, why he doesn't remember, but suffice it to say, he didn't remember.
So you have the three boys, and two of them remember, one real well, one kinda, and then one who says this didn't happen.
Correct. So, Andrew MacKenzie, the author guy, paranormal researcher, starts doing research. And so to kind of prove what the boys had seen, and this becomes one of the prime stories in his book. He believes he has found evidence that what the boys experienced was something called retrocognition, a brief witnessing of the past without physically ever leaving the present. Kinsey did archival research that revealed that the Butcher building did indeed date from 1350 and was a registered butcher shop between 1790 and 1905. It probably was used for that purpose before that, but there was no registry required for that, so he can't prove it. But by the condition of the building, whatnot, MacKenzie believes that exactly what that was a butcher shop. Currently, Pastor Rick, if you're interested, you can actually stay in this building if you may find yourself in that part of England. If you go on to any of the Airbnb or any of the other home rental sites, you can stay there for £1,178 a night. It sleeps 8.
Whoa.
Yeah, sleeps 8. Has Wi-Fi.
Do you get any free oxen carcasses?
You do not. And they don't let dogs. When you let oxen carcasses, they don't let dogs in. And the picture that I'm looking at right now, it's a beautiful house. It's a beautiful.
Let me see. Oh, that is beautiful.
So,
how much is it a night?
I just lost it, Pastor Rick.
But it was £1,000.
Over £1,000 a night. Yeah. But it sleeps 8. So if you spread that over the cost of everybody, it's got multiple bedrooms. All right. So, and so what were we? Oh, so what MacKenzie said, believes happened was they went back in time, and the time that he believes they saw was 1349. It was a time that the Black Death had spread through the area and the town would have been evacuated, which would be why people had fled. There was no one around. They left the meat hanging, and the church tower in the church was built after this period. So if the boys had gone to 1349, the foundation of the church was laid in 1335, but it wasn't completed until 1481. So it would have been another 100 years before that tower was actually built. So,
but that still doesn't explain why the ducks weren't swimming.
No,
because even if everybody left because of the plague, ducks still are ducks.
Ducks are still ducks. Why were you not seeing ducks? I do not know.
So I'm sitting over here and I'm reading about time slips, and believe it or not, time travel, at least going forward in time, is theoretically possible.
So if it's a time slip and they went back in time, they're basically seeing they're able to walk through a moving picture of time, I guess would be how I would describe it. So that's why the ducks aren't moving.
All right. So I'm sitting here reading about time travel, and first thing I think we need to think about here is time dilation, because Einstein's theories show that time isn't absolute. Okay, it slows down near massive objects or at high speeds, such as an object that is approaching the speed of light. But this is a gradual, measurable effect, not a sudden leap. But it is a real thing. For instance, when astronauts come back, and I forget exactly how they measure it. It's something in the cells or something they measure. They are younger than all the rest of us on the Earth.
Well, the atomic clocks, when they would send an atomic clock into space.
Is that how they do it?
They had two twin, yes, they had two exact twin atomic clocks.
Yeah.
So they're going to be exactly correct. You put one, take it up with the gravity is less, leave one on the ground. When you put them back together, they are not synced up anymore.
Yeah. So we can,
and the only way to explain that,
and it's a minute change, but
Correct.
There is a change, right?
Correct.
Now, could there be a time slip? A time slip would be created through something like a wormhole or some sort of closed time loop curve. I think about those all the time.
Do they happen in trees?
No. General relativity allows for theoretical shortcuts in space-time, like wormholes or loops that might enable time travel, but these require extreme physics, like vast negative energy, and remain highly speculative unless you watch Star Trek and then wormholes pop up all the time.
Only when the plot needs moved along.
Right. Issue is that in order for a time slip to occur, there would have to be something fairly extreme happening. And scientists, from what I'm reading here, seem to think that we would all know that, like a black hole had hit us or something.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that people don't experience something like this, right?
Right. So it's theoretically possible,
It's theoretically possible.
but skeptics have also weighed in, Pastor Rick,
Yes.
and they have their own theories of what happened.
Okay.
First, Kersey is obviously ridiculously picturesque, right? It's a beautiful town. The buildings are all listed and on the National Registry there in England, which means that they are conserved to look historic. And that process began after the Second World War, about the time that the boys were there.
Well, would have been wandering through.
Right. Which would mean that TV antennas, wires were either minimized or concealed, which would explain why you didn't see them. First-time visitor could misread hidden utilities as an absence of any type of modernity. And on a Sunday morning in 1957, many residents might just be at church. The bell was ringing. And the most interesting I found on YouTube, you can't always find good things on YouTube, but this guy, and of course when their name is Shane Ralph 77, you're thinking, oh, wow, that sounds legit.
Oh, look, you only need to worry if the guy's middle name's Wayne.
Right. But he has a good video that I watched several of them, and he has a really good explanation. He actually went there.
Mhm.
And what he proved in his video was that, first off, there are two churches near that town. And if you have not been there, you would not know this. The church that the boys probably saw from the hill was from the next town over, not visible.
Oh, and one has a bell tower and one does not.
Well, they both have bell towers, but the one in the actual town of Kersey is very small. And so that probably not what they saw. And he went to a hill and showed it. You can see the church in the next town over, and because it's kind of, that's a hill, the hill above a flat plain.
Yeah.
And if you saw that and you heard a bell ringing, the bell ring very well was from the church there in Kersey. But the church they saw was from the next town over, which once you got down into the town, the buildings obscured it. You could not see it. The bell stopped ringing because, well, it's Sunday morning. And
the service was starting.
There's like 100 people in town that are on church. And it's a historic location.
Yeah.
So things aren't look historic. And it was just a 15-year-old's imagination got away with from them. And
then when they saw the church and it didn't match up with what they had seen before, they automatically assumed not that this is a different church,
right,
but something's happened to the bell tower.
Right. So that would be the other side of the coin, right? That is what has happened.
I mean, that makes logical sense.
But what still doesn't, to your point from earlier, what still has never been explained is this oddly silence. I mean, why was there no wind? Why was there no sound? Why did the seasons change? And that seems weird, but also, if they had gone back in the past, they have sounds in medieval England. Why was there no sound here? So it's kind of weird. You can go either way. Was it true? Was it not?
Do you know what I think it is? Star Trek. Remember the original series, The Guardian of Forever?
Yeah.
Which was basically a giant lit donut. Think about it.
It was. But maybe the best episode ever of Star Trek.
Yeah, City on the Edge of Forever. Yeah, it probably is the best best episode of Star Trek. But maybe that's what they walked through.
I'm not saying they didn't.
Look, I'm not trying to minimize their story. I'm not saying I don't believe their story. So So what does the Bible say about this? What do you think? This might surprise you, but the Bible does not talk about time travel.
At all.
No, not really. I mean, it emphasizes God's timelessness. It shows that God exists outside of time, that he knows the future, he controls history. Um, and he's just not bound by it. But it never ever talks about people traveling in time. One story I know folks will sometimes say is a time travel story is in the Gospels. It talks about an event in Jesus's life that we call the Transfiguration, where Jesus meets with Moses and Elijah. And some have said that that is a combination of Jesus and Elijah and Moses are being pulled from their time and he's talking to them in their time. I don't think that's what the story is meaning. I'm thinking that that the story is showing that those two figures have died and have gone with God, and God has, for whatever reason, brought them to talk to Jesus.
Right.
That's what I think. But some people read that as time travel. But all right, Rob. Important question.
Yes.
If you could travel in time, where would you go?
I think you're supposed to say the crucifixion of Jesus, right?
You can say whatever you want to say.
No, I think
I mean, you might disappoint Jesus.
Right. I think that's what you're supposed to go see. But I personally would go because I'm a dork. I would go back to see Noah's Ark because I want to see all the cute animals and how you got them all in the Ark.
Well, you can just get to Cincinnati and see that, or Northern Kentucky.
True. That is true. That's true.
that's
Be a
true.
wasted time travel trip. How about you?
I don't know. I think I would probably, maybe could go to the Holy Land at some point, see Jesus. But I also think watching them build the pyramids would be kind of cool.
It would be. So I don't know. The story is plausible.
It is plausible if you believe in a few things like time slips. I mean, there are people who have shared stories throughout the years of spending time or spending a few moments in a different place, a different time. Now, what this makes me think about is if time slips are real, what happens if you get sucked into one but don't get to come back? You're stuck.
That's a good point. How many people has that happened to?
Well, think about all the people who vanish all the time. Maybe they're stuck in medieval times or something.
Where he's been looking in the wrong place.
It could be, or it could be another dimension. I just got done watching a documentary on Netflix called Stranger Things, and
it's a great documentary.
It's a great documentary.
In the 1980s.
Set in 1980s, and for some reason, all the kids now look like they're about 30.
Yeah, weird, huh?
Yeah, Steve on there, he needs to be filing, can sign up with the AARP. Holy cow, did he get old?
That happened in the 80s. It was a rough time.
So, Rob, the Kersey time slip, do you think they're making it up? Or do you think this is something that happened to them? Or do you think maybe they think it's something that happened to them?
I believe they believe something happened to them.
No problem.
I don't think they're making it up, but memories can be wrong. And 30 years is a long time between something happening and recounting it.
30 years ago, it's funny. A couple years ago, I was driving down some roads that were over by where Mom and Dad used to live years ago.
Right.
And haven't driven down those roads in several decades. And it was weird because they looked familiar, yet they looked different.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah. And so I think time, can I remember what happened 30 years ago? Yeah, some of it. Do I remember all of it? No. I couldn't exactly tell you what I was doing. Yeah, and after 30 years, especially if you think of an event, so the human mind doesn't work like a computer. Our memories aren't stored like a file on a computer.
Right.
So every time you think of something, you bring that back up, change it a little bit, and then you save it again. So he very well might have had some sort of strange experience back in 1957. These guys had some sort of strange experience. Thinking about it over the years, maybe added a few things to it and expanded it. And then after a while, that memory is different than what really happened. All right, Rob. Well, thanks for that story. And it's nice to know that I don't have to worry about my church bell tower just disappearing.
No.
That's all we need.
Do you guys ring the bell?
We do. We ring the bell every single Sunday, and it is by far the most popular thing I do all week long.
Do you have volunteers do it?
So we have the kids do it, and the kids begin asking about an hour before during Sunday school. And my line is, if you are there 5 minutes before the service, you can do it, and take them back. And the church was built in the 1800s, right? So you go back into this little room, and there's a rope, and it's a big old rope, and the kids that are ringing it are little. They're anywhere between the ages of about 5 and 10, and most of them are so light that I'll pull the rope down, let them hang on to it, and then when I let go, the bell's heavy enough, it'll lift them up off the floor. Which is what they want. I mean, let's be honest, that's what they want.
Right.
And then I pull it down again, and then they go flying back up, and then the next one comes and wants to grab a hold of it, and they just have big old smiles. So yeah, we ring the bell every Sunday, and I'm just glad that I don't have to worry about some time distortion coming through and taking it out. Because how would you explain that on your insurance?
Right. There's no real box for that.
There's no box to check temporal disturbance. I mean, there just isn't.
This isn't.
I mean, this isn't, science fiction. So thank you for joining us here on the Parsonage Files. If you are looking for a church home, I would invite you to join us at Groveport United Methodist Church. Our worship time is at 10:30 a.m. every Sunday morning, online or in person. And for my brother Rob and I, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.